8. And as I was aware, I think Member Gallant is joining us electronically as well. Member Gallant, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Very good, thank you. Everyone had an opportunity to review the agenda. Motion, please.
Move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you. All those in favor? So carried unanimously, thank you. And our previous meeting from August the 4th, we've got the minutes before you, hopefully for adoption. Was there any revisions or omissions there we need to discuss? Hibbs?
I will move that they be adopted as presented.
Thank you. Member Gallant, we cannot see you on screen, so if you have anything, please feel free to speak up.
Is that better now? Can you see me now?
That's better, thank you. Very good. So for the August 4th minutes, was there anything that you had?
No, it's good. Thank you.
Yeah. So all those in favor then? Motion before us. It's unanimous as well. Thank you. So 2 development permit applications before us this afternoon. The first one for a secondary suite at 34 Emerald Crescent. Our development officer, Crystal, if you could take us through that item, please.
Thank you. We have received an application for a secondary suite to be located at 34 Emerald Crescent. Neighboring property consultations were sent out to 23 adjacent landowners within 60 meters of the subject site. And at the time of writing the report, 2 responses were received in support of the application. The proposed suite would occupy 74 square meters of the 130 square foot basement area. The suite is therefore well within the maximum allowable size, which is 90% of the main floor area. The applicant has indicated that the laundry facilities will not be shared with the tenants. There is an area on the main floor which has already been wrapped in to accommodate laundry facilities for the occupant of the main floor. Parking on the site can be accommodated by an existing double car garage and surrounding driveway. 2 vehicles can fit in the attached garage and 4 vehicles can fit on the driveway for a total of 6 parking spaces for the site. With respect to suite density in the neighborhood, the suite would be the first on the block. This block allows for a maximum of 4 secondary suites in accordance with the maximum allowable density regulations on suites per block. Given the support from the neighborhood and the lack of suites in the neighborhood in general, Planning and Development Services recommends approval subject to conditions.
Very much. Anyone have any questions or concerns? Member Gullickson?
Thank you, Chair Christie. I'll make the motion then that the Municipal Planning Commission approve a 74 square meter secondary suite to be located at 34 Emerald Crescent, Plot 19, Block 7, Plan 0423989, zoned R1 Residential Detached District with the 7 following conditions.
Thank you very much. And was the court made aware of all these conditions?
Yeah, we sent over a copy of the report. I think she just had a chance to review.
Very good. I guess I would just highlight number 4. Sometimes with existing suites, so we're not necessarily aware of the other permits that are required for the building portion as opposed to just the zoning. So I would highlight item number 4 as well. Does anyone have anything to add? See none. We'll call the question. All those in favor? And that is unanimously carried. Thank you.
We're just going to hand you a decision letter right now.
That way you get the good news delivered directly.
Thank you so very much. I sure appreciate that. Yeah, no problem.
The next item, item 4.2, subdivision request for 5328 48th Avenue. I understand our PCPS planner Scott Pirrick is going to be presenting this item. Is he online?
It's going to be planner Craig Teal.
Okay, very good.
Okay,
Appreciate you filling in, Planner Teal. The floor is yours.
thank you, Mr. Chair. Crystal, are you running the screen there, or should I share screen for the report?
If you're able to share screen, that would be great. Thank you.
I'll do that right now then. Okay, so hopefully that's up on the screen in front of you. And the application before you, Mr. Chairman, is to subdivide a fourplex parcel that's under construction right now. It's located generally a little bit southwest of the downtown area. This is the second type of application that MPC has seen of this type. We did a similar one about a year ago. So this is the second one that's come through for this process. The proposal is located at 5328 on 48th Avenue. As I mentioned, the fourplex is under construction. It was at the time of the subdivision application proposed or approved for development permit approval, and is subsequently underway for construction. You'll see that in some of the site photos. And the application is really about splitting it into 4 parcels following the common walls of the fourplex. So we'd have two lots up front to the south facing onto 48th Avenue, 2 lots in the back where their physical access is off the lane to the north. The application itself doesn't come up against any statutory plans or policies that would prevent the approval of this kind of subdivision, but it does have a lot of unique characteristics that we do have to take into account compared to our traditional or typical subdivisions where every single parcel being created has its own direct access to a public roadway, 48th, for example, not necessarily using a lane as a public access. And that's why you see quite a few number of conditions documented or talked about in the report and then followed up in the actual conditions page. So the first issue I want to talk about is the access to the infrastructure is one of the things that we have to take into account. So water and sewer would come in from the south from 48th Avenue. For the 2 south lots, they pretty much go right in. And then for the 2 parcels and dwelling units to the rear, they go through the buildings and then reach those units. So that usually means that we need to look at access easements for the shared infrastructure and also party wall agreements to deal with not only the party walls, but also the water lines and sewer lines that may be serving one unit that cut through another, and eventually they may be needed to be accessed for replacement or repair. We have a issue around the garbage bin and pedestrian access that are also come up with this particular circumstance. In the city of Macomb, the fourplexes are expected to share a communal bin that's accessed by city workers, typically in the lane. So one of the 2 parcels in the lane, we're not sure which one the development or the applicant will designate, has to have an easement there for the bin to be in place for the benefit of the 3 other unit owners that are able to access and use that garbage facility. Similar for pedestrian access, where you try to facilitate the sidewalk connection on 48th to be able to reach the doors of the units in the back, and for the people that are in the front along 48th to be able to reach the garbage bin to the north off the lane. So that does lead to a series of pedestrian access easements, typically down the sides, both sides in this particular layout of the fourplex. At the time of development permit, a walkway down one side of the fourplex was proposed, and we know now with trying to facilitate pedestrian access that we need a second sidewalk on the other side. So you'll see that coming up in the conditions as well. Just briefly walking through the conditions, photos I think pretty much speak for themselves, Mr. Chairman. But going to the conditions that are found on page 19, I believe, they should be up on the screen in front of you. The first few are very standard for subdivision. That's using a plan of survey that's acceptable to land titles, settling up the taxes, just like a real estate transaction. And then number 3, you'll see that we're requiring provisions for the service connections to match the city standards for this kind of subdivision. And since the first application was considered by the city, the Utilities Department, Engineering Department have had a chance to look at that in a little bit more detail and come up with a standard template that we envision applying if we have more of these kind of applications in the future that look at sharing the water, but making sure each unit has the ability to be shut off if there's a maintenance issue or a billing issue. And also looking at a shared wastewater service connection that's a little bit bigger than the normal to deal with any potential blockage from when we have multiple owners, and trying to assess or try to avoid a blockage so we don't have to assess who is responsible for the cause. Then we get into the registration of easements for the communal garbage bin, which is number 5. The registration of an easement for pedestrian access down the sides, which is condition number 6. Number 7 deals with the provision of the sidewalk that's not covered in the development permit approval, and that's along the east yards of through lot 20, proposed lot 20 and 21 in this case. Number 8, dealing with the provision of a party wall agreement. The city is not a signatory to that agreement, but we'd like to make sure that they're in place and registered at the time that the subdivision's created, and also trying to make sure that that addresses water line and wastewater lines. With that, Mr. Chairman, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try and field them.
Thank you, Planner Taylor. Appreciate that. Member Gullickson?
Thank you, Chair Creasy. Quick question regarding the water and sewer lines. They haven't been installed, or they have been installed? They have been, and they're to standards right now?
I sort of that with Jordan for engineering. It seems we came to an agreement on that, so it's 4 separate services. So I mean, so there'll be no one stream. Lines lot, you know.
Okay. Good, perfect. Thank you. That was my only question.
Thank you. And certainly that was my concern as well. Planner Teal, you had suggested that the water lines come through the first 2 units to reach the back 2. Is that your understanding?
That's correct, Mr. Chair. I think the voice I heard before was the builder and the applicant. He probably could answer that with more detail for me on whether or not they actually go through the wall stacked vertically versus cutting through, say, the kitchen floor to reach the units in the back.
Thank you. Would you care to elaborate on that? I'm not sure I understood. So the services are coming obviously from one side, in this case, the street side. So
Yeah, they all come
rear units.
street through. So 2 are separate on each side. I did send a plan. That's not but so yeah, the water line is just into the back units. So that's how we.
Yes.
Which is fine. So then all I'm getting at is that then there's obviously a main shut off there in the primary unit, and then the ones that it goes to, the second I'm speaking. And then the ones past it, then there's an additional shut off for their unit only.
Are they underground through the basement, or
They are.
yeah?
Anyone have anything further?
Those are my concerns.
Member Hibbs?
Thank you, Chair Creasy. Yeah, I don't have any concerns. Those were the only things that are really of a concern, and they're addressed. So I would move that it be resolved that the Municipal Planning Commission approve the proposed subdivision of 5328 48th Avenue, Lot 2, Block 23, Plan RN1B, zoned R5, residential multi-unit dwelling district, with the following 8 conditions.
Thank you very much. And we have the builder here. Are you aware of the 8 conditions that are attached to this document? Very good. Thank you. Anything further from any of the members? Seeing none. All those in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. So that is approved as well. I didn't have an opportunity to look. Where is it? Did we have a summary of permits issued or no? It's this right.
Yeah, I just didn't have a chance to deliver them, but I could just read them out loud to you.
Absolutely.
So 0.07 meter or 4.7% side yard setback variance and a 1.41 meter or 18.8% rear yard setback variance were approved on an existing detached dwelling at 69 Bruns Crescent. A total of 22 property owners were notified. No opposition was received. And this was conditionally approved on August the 10th. And it is subject to a 21-day appeal period that ends on September 2nd. There's also a side yard setback variance granted on an existing shed, 0.33 meters, and that is 36.7%. That's located at 18 Iron Wolf Court. 22 adjacent landowners were notified. No opposition was received. This was conditionally approved on August 10th as well, and is subject to a 21-day appeal period that ends on September 6th.
Thank you.
Oh.
And item 6 for our next meeting, we have listed September 1st. Do we have some
We do.
good work for that already? Very good. We can put that one in our calendars too, please. Members? Anything else before we adjourn? Anybody care to make that motion at 5:15?
Oh,
Member Godson.
yeah, I'll make it. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Very good. All those in favor? So adjourned.